I miss that sexy smile.
Hello, Makani, bonjour! What's good, everybody? Welcome to the official episode of Like Chalk and Cheese. Last 2 weeks, you guys heard our introduction, but oh, honey, we're about to dig into it now. Girl, what's going on? I am your co-host, Otney, and
I am your other host, Ruby, and we're so excited to have you today. Like Otney said, we're really going to start getting into it. What you guys saw 2 weeks ago was nothing. We must now really dive into the conversation. So, yeah, we're so excited about our conversation today. It's called Money versus Love, okay? So you're probably like, money versus love? What are you guys talking about? So we'll give you a little description before we dive into it, okay? So this episode looks at the confusion the world has brought upon the word broke. Broke. We hear this so often. Broke man, broke woman, broke this, broke that.
And it's trending so much right now, especially for us in the Zimbabwean community, because we are seeing debates flying around about this whole like, oh, broke men this, broke men that, or whatever.
So people talk about being broke as if it is a disgusting disease that should be shunned, and that when one is broke, they should be ashamed of that status. We look at circumstances that lead to the majority of Black men being broke and why sometimes it is due to systematic social, cultural dissociation and a lack of employment in the world. Let me repeat that in case you missed it, okay?
Girl, go on, repeat that.
Let's just willow, okay. It is due to systematic social, cultural dissociation and a lack of employment in the world. This therefore leads to women avoiding the so-called broke man and chasing after the provider instead.
And it usually looks like this. Oh, girl, I'm not finna date a man who's not up on my level. Oh, I'm not finna date because I've worked hard, I've done this, so I'm not gonna date a man that is not on my level. And I'm just saying.
But my question is, what is your level, Sissy? What is your level? Because that's what I want to understand.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I always say, like, levels are dependent on the people that you are with. So you might think you are on a specific level, but to somebody else who is surpassing you would be like, no, you're not on my level. So, like, brokenness is not really a specific thing.
Absolutely.
It's dependent on whoever and the situation.
And the circumstance that surrounds it. Okay, but so what triggered this conversation for us?
Okay, so what happened was just basically, we're hearing it a lot, like we said. We're hearing it a lot. It's happening on social media. And we just have figured out that there's just too much stigma around the broke man and how love is now equated to the financial status of a man. So women are really starting to, avoid, like Otney said, the broke man and looking for that provider who's going to take care of your kids and stuff. So that's just what brought this up. We're looking at it in social media. You hear it a lot. There was actually a debate yesterday and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect because we're about to discuss this, where a few younger Zimbabwean women were basically talking about how Zimbabwean men are not good providers compared to, let's say, Nigerian men who are better providers. And this had me thinking like, okay, but who is the one who is defining this? Where is this definition coming from that people actually think that there is, like, it's set in stone somewhere that this equates to being broke?
Yeah, or equates to love essentially. Because what it is you also go through this thing where, through Snapchat, through Instagram, we have conversations like with, like people who like follow us and we interact with like people who talk to us and all of these things. And that's one of the conversations that was actually sparked. A young lady was actually saying, oh, my man is not romantic enough just because he's not buying me roses or not taking me out to dates and all of these kinds of things. And then they equate love to the amount of, tangible things a man is bringing to the relationship. So essentially, I was just like, okay, this is, you're misconstruing the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are we looking at what this man is also doing, like outside the fact that he's not taking you out of dates? Is he bringing, groceries to the house? Is he, on the grind? Is he doing his best to make sure the essentials of the house are are, available. It's one of those, like, you get it to a point where, I get it, love languages and all of these kinds of things. And women, I get it. We are women. We like to once or twice get a few roses here and a little razzle dazzle and all of these things, but not to entirely equate the whole thing like, oh no, like, he ain't romantic. He's not, he's not this, he's not that. And then you guys equate it to, that tangible monetary value. So this is what we were like, okay, you know what? No. I think there's a, misconception here.
Yeah, there's a disconnect going on in the society, especially with our younger sisters. And even some older women feel this way too. But it's just this disconnect is too much. Because even on that same thing, this conversation I had on my Snapchat, a girl was also very, very upset by how her man proposed to her because it was not
flamboyant enough.
The best proposal she's ever seen out there, Basically, he proposed in bed, pulled out a ring, gave it to her, and he was like, yo, let's do this thing. And she was like, oh, hell no, sir. You ain't gonna take me out nowhere. You ain't gonna bring a helicopter. We ain't gonna walk on some roses. Where are all the petals at? Like, she was very upset about
the whole 9 yards.
That and it was like, okay, where, how did we get to this specific point? And then we get to the point of, okay, let's just get to where we are in 2021. We now live in times where women can actually earn more than their partners. And then for some couples, this causes immense friction. Some men feel inadequate when they have their women handle all the financial constraints, while some know that their women is their partner, and so they don't need to distinguish who does what in the relationship.
Exactly.
So we also need to realize that we are living in a new time where both parties are now working.
Yeah.
Well, usually. We still have women who are stay-at-home moms. Kudos to you, power to you moms. But mostly everyone is working in the workforce. So how can you then still depend on your partner to be the provider if you are out there grinding too? Are you both not providers now?
If you want to go on a date, then darling, be like, honey, let's go on a date.
Let me take you out.
Do you know what I mean?
I just got paid, daddy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's go out.
Let's go out. Let's do it because we have the ability to do so in today's day and age. And so that's where we were finding like the kind of disconnect there is now we have, I'm so happy because women were so empowered now and all of these things, but I just find like there's a fine line between how we then articulate ourselves in these kinds of matters. So if you're going to go around saying like, you're not on my level, I ain't never going to date a broke man. Oh my goodness, with the things that are going on today, and you described it as we were beginning this episode, is basically the circumstances that are surrounding that particular person. Let's take, for example, we'll start right where we're from, Zimbabwe. Toughest times the people are going through there.
4 years, since 2001, just so everyone
Do you know what
is
I mean?
aware.
So toughest times those people are going through right now, let alone finding employment and all of these things. And even when you do find employment, it's not like you're getting enough to be able to actually sustain that much, let alone take you out on a date, honey.
Take you to Dubai.
Or provide a flight to whatever and all of these things. But what we're trying to explain that even here, different circumstances people land on, like being an immigrant and all of these things. You're not the first person a person's gonna pick out of the resume. You know what I mean? Like it's all different like situations, and people have different lives that they lead to that leads to them having these different situations that put them in a criteria where you can provide this much or you can't provide this much. But then now as ladies and all of these things, once you get into a relationship, we were talking about, I think there's a disconnect in the sense that you're saying, I don't want a broke person. I don't want to like someone who's not on my level, all of these things, but you're not understanding it's not that they are choosing to be broke.
Exactly.
Like you need to distinguish what we ended up saying is laziness or a person.
Is your man lazy or is he broke? Because sometimes being broke is not a choice. And people need to understand that. It's not a choice. Nobody wants to sit in their house and have no money. Nobody wishes that upon themselves.
Not one person.
Not one person wishes this.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have money. And even if you say, no, money doesn't mean anything to me, you're a liar. Because everybody wants to have money.
Yeah.
Money equates to power.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to be powerful. So at the end of the day, nobody's wishing, especially men, because men, especially African men are taught to be providers. So when they're now adults in the diaspora or in Zimbabwe, and he's sitting on the couch and he's not working, do you think he's enjoying the situation he is in? No, he's not.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at
so
all.
that's the question. Is your man broke by, circumstance, or is he just lazy? Because there's also some lazy men. They are also there. There's men out there who are so lazy that you literally come home, and he's like, and you're like, babe, did you do anything today? No, I woke up by 12. It was already lunchtime. So then I
took a nap on the couch.
I took a nap and then, but since you're home, can you start supper? Because I'm
hungry.
The square and like what?
Yeah, and that's basically what it is, because it's one of those, understand the circumstance your man is in. You know what I mean? The reason we're talking about this topic is because it's a topic that basically came to us. And we were like, girl, you need to distinguish, because if you're going to say, because the other situation was, I don't know, I think it was like a date, but it wasn't just good enough. You know what I mean? And it's one of those, you guys were like, oh, this person is cheap, they're broke, all of these things. But if a person is putting that effort and they're going out there and they're hustling and they're out the door, even if it's not a 9-to-5 job and they don't actually have a 9-to-5 employment, but it's one of those, they are going out there every day regardless of not having that 9-to-5 job, and they're still finding some way to be able to bring food to the table, and then they still are able to bring you freaking KFC as opposed to what is a higher
Gahan house in Halifax. Gahan. He didn't bring you some Gahan house.
Some gourmet, you know what I mean? Or take you out to some gourmet place for you to, you know what I mean? But it's one of those, stop in your tracks, think about that. You know what I mean? What is your man broke or is he lazy?
And I also want to touch on what Ortney's talking about, because it's very important to think about this. Would you rather the bills in the house are taken care of and you don't owe nobody, nobody's coming to knock on your door for rent?
Period.
And you're still eating Nando's and the whatever, KFC, but you know your bills are taken care of. Wouldn't you rather be in that situation versus being taken to Dubai and then coming back and you don't have 3 months of rent? You must now be thinking, where we find the money?
People are knocking on your door.
No, this is just ridiculous. It's just this horrible double standard that women have for men, and we just need to stop it, because at the end of the day, there is a huge difference between being broke through circumstance and then just being a lazy bum, guys who just stay at home. And I know you're out there. There are some men like that who just are unmotivated, nothing works for them, and they just stay at home. And another point Ortney brought up was also, you need to understand, in the diaspora sometimes your name and your skin color as a black male really, really affects you getting jobs, especially in the corporate world. So, for example, let's just bring up my husband. My husband is a big black man, has dreadlocks. His name is Tinashe Mugara. His name is on a resume. They're going to pull it up. They're going to look at it and be like, maybe his resume is actually impressive. Let's call this man in. Let's have an interview with him.
Walks
this Tinashe guy. He sounds interesting. In walks big black Tinashe with his dreadlocks tied up in a bun.
He has a new hairstyle, by the way.
Oh, now it's even, now it's hip and everything. It's shaved on the sides. And he walks in for an interview and they talk to him and he seems really great. But they think of their clientele and they're like, how will he...
It's not going to rub well.
I don't know how it's going to, look if we were to send him out there and be the face. Yeah. That's always what you need to understand as well. So sometimes you then see your man having to do the jobs that nobody wants to do. Construction, care work, all this stuff. Because those are the places that will hire no matter what.
Right.
So technically those jobs mean less money. So because he's making less money, is he broke? No. By your standards, maybe, but nobody else's standards.
Exactly.
He's out here grinding. He's doing what he got to do.
He's getting up. He's doing what he has got to do. He is bringing food to the table. He is making sure bills are paid. He is making sure you're taken care of. The kids are taken care of. Everything is taken care of. And because you didn't go on one fancy date, girl. If you don't,
or you don't have a Gucci bag, Sissy, buy your own Gucci bag. Buy it, save your money, buy the Gucci bag that you want, baby girl. You better save your money. That's what we keep saying. We are now in the society where you can work too.
Yeah.
So if those are your goals, nothing wrong with wanting nice things.
And don't get us wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having your standards, because you gotta have your standards. There's nothing wrong with having, what it is that you believe you deserve and all of these things. There's nothing wrong with that, girl. Girl, I relate to that. However, it's not then,
don't put it on someone else.
Yeah, it's not then appropriate for you to then go around talking about, because you ain't on my level. Because you ain't gonna touch it. No, relax. Like, relax. Honestly, relax. Then, proceed to going to then find what is on your level. Go ahead and proceed, as opposed to, being in the situation where you're here and you're talking about, my man, he don't do this. Okay, stop and check out what he is actually doing. And kind of appreciate that for 2 seconds. How about that?
Like me, I feel immense pride when my husband says, and I've paid the car. Woo! Amen. The car is paid for.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, we must drive this month. Hey. Meanwhile, some people want to. No, I feel like it's actually a little virus that's within the community where women are really judgmental over a man, over what a man does.
Yeah.
And it's also crazy because when I was talking this whole debate yesterday about, that Nigerian men work harder, a lot of these young girls were saying that, well, I don't even care if he does 419. If you don't know what 419 is, just my Canadians, 419 is just basically fraud. So these young girls were talking about, I don't care if he does fraud because he's making money. And I was like, but so all you want is money because you don't even have any moral standard. No, it doesn't matter.
Nothing. No way.
Because you want to go to Mauritius and Maldives and then post picture. So you don't care what he actually does. And it really didn't sit well with me because I was like, you're 21, you're 22.
Baby girl.
Like, why?
Baby girl.
Why are these your goals
I'm
in
all
life?
for people enjoying their lives and, having the best 20-somethings, but it's one of those take some time, really think about what you're saying here. Because, does this actually make sense to you? That you actually do? You won't care until you are sitting in the jail cell.
And you are an accomplice.
Written as accomplice. You won't care. You know what I mean? But it's one of those, it's wild. So we always get these, wild topics. And people come to us and they talk to us about these things. And we're like, girl. No.
And if you guys know, we are always 100. We go. We don't need even sugarcoat. What do you mean?
Girl. So basically, in this particular episode, our reasoning with this whole thing was, what basically was it? We're just trying to say, hey, do not equate love or whatever love language it is, which is probably, gifts or whatever it is. Do not equate that to the status at which a person is in, financially. Because God forbid, honey, this person that you're there complaining about and all of these things, tomorrow, things will change. You know what I'm saying?
You never know.
A good opportunity to come to this person. And funny enough, I was actually watching a movie like that. This girl dumped this guy. It was a movie. What is it called? I forget it. I'll tell you later. But it was a movie, and this guy was doing what he was doing, and he was struggling to find a job. Same story about wow, that's very appropriate.
Or even Insecure. You don't watch Insecure, but this happened.
I used to. Is that Issa Rae, right?
Yeah, Issa Rae was bored with her man, but he was lazy though. He was lazy.
That's what we're saying. There's a difference. There's a difference between the whole broke situation and being lazy. So let's really decipher, ladies. Let's really decipher, okay? Before we go out here talking about you wearing not my level. You know what I mean? Let's decipher before we go.
And also look at look at the person. Do you actually? And I was having this conversation with one of my other friends, and I was like, you also have to look. Do you even like this person? Because if everything they do irks you, there's something wrong here. Why are you annoyed? You come home and you're like, hi, he's still here. Something is wrong. You don't like him. Why are you still here? Like, what's actually going on? That it's a deeper issue. It's not his financial
it has nothing
status.
to do with
It does not. I mean, that's now adding on top that, oh my gosh, I have to take care of him. I have to be the one to handle the bills. Blah blah blah. Then he just annoys you. But it's deeper than that, because if a man was to touch you and you're like, "Hey, don't touch me," it's a bigger issue than the money, my sister. It's much bigger. Where you actually cringe because somebody has touched you. When they're coming towards you, you're like,
yeah. Then you need to really
yes.
just
So
figure
you
it
really
out.
just need to figure out: do you love the person
Yeah.
you're with? And if you love them, it's easier to support them.
Yeah. Oh my God, so much easier. So much easier. Like you actually will not care for anything. It's so much easier. So this is real life. But yeah, no, this is basically what we were.
This was the topic for today.
And let us know you guys' thoughts, because like everybody's in different situations, and you know, obviously not to like shy away from like, you know, the topic and everything, but we want to know like from you guys like what you think about this particular topic. Do you guys basically understand where we were coming from, or do you guys have your own like opinions towards the matter? Like, do you believe that there is a difference that people kind of confuse there? Is it about laziness, or is it about a person not actually being financially stable? And if that's the case, how would you handle a situation like that, being with a partner that isn't, you know, financially stable or at a place that would support you in the way that you would prefer, right? Like, what do you guys actually think about this topic, and what would you do in that kind of a situation? Money versus love. What do you say, girl?
I say, yeah, you guys comment in the comment section. Let us know. You can always find us on our different social media handles like Chalk and Cheese on Instagram. You can find us on our personal handles at Ru&Ot, at Just Otney, and talk to us. Let us know what you think about these conversations. Like we said, we're getting really deep into them. We're going to keep diving in. Right now, we're in the shallow end. We're still...
Flitter, flatter,
We're
flitter,
just...
flatter.
We shall go pacha, pacha, pacha. Wait for us. We're coming. But yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we can't wait to see you in the next episode. As always, I'm Ruby, and this is...
Just Otney on your screens. All right, guys, take care.
Bye.